Hey guys, and welcome to tonight's live. How's everybody doing this evening? It is Sunday. What is the date? The 12th. I don't have it changed on my little blocks here. So it is today, the 12th of January. If you're not with it, like me, if you're probably all with it. But anyways, my name is Tanya or TitaniumBuilt, and welcome to the channel. If this is your first time here, if this isn't your first time here, you're like, who the heck? We know who you are. Well, welcome back. Welcome back. I appreciate you guys joining me for a live. I do have the dogs around here hanging out. So if there's noise behind me, that's what's going on. They're just probably snoring or fighting in their sleep or something. That's what they like to do. They like to make noise back there. So welcome in again. We'll go ahead. We'll say hi to some people in the chat and we'll go from there. We'll see what everyone's been up to. How was everyone's weekend? Did you guys have a good weekend, a good Sunday? Hey, True Crime Lullabies. Hey, Lori. Hey, Mary Beth. Um, as I'm scrolling through, you may notice that Ladybug isn't in the chat tonight. She's not feeling well. I guess she's been having the last few days kind of some troubles with breathing, and she was really scared this morning. And so her husband Walt took her. It's funny because Walt, and I was thinking Wizard Walt, but Walt is her husband. But he took her to the hospital, and they're going to keep her for a couple days. She said to run some tests and do just to make sure everything's okay. So she wanted me to tell you guys not to worry about her. Sounds like Ladybug, but to make sure just pray for her. Just if you're saying your prayers. If you do that sort of thing, if you wish upon a star, whatever you do, make sure you keep her in your thoughts. Hey, Princess. Hey, Megan, Mandy. Who's Megan? Oh, we're going to watch Megyn Kelly today. Maybe that's why I said Megan. Hey, Mike. I'm like, that's not your name. What did you make? Oh, I made chicken in the slow cooker today for my lunch for the next few days. Ooh. You feel if you plan out your meals, I won't be tempted to. You know what? You just reminded me. Okay, so this is going to sound, it might be a dumb question, but I need the answer to it. So, because I don't know. And True Crime Lullabies, you're in the chat too. So perfect. That's what I wanted to see. I was thinking of you and I was thinking of this because I wasn't sure if you gave me a recipe or not. And I was sitting in here already, like getting ready for the live when I thought of this. So if I'm going to the grocery store, because I want to make a pot roast, what kind of meat do I buy? Like, is it around chuck? Like, I don't know what kind of meat I know it's not pot roast. Like, I know I don't go in there and I'm like, it doesn't say like roast on it, but let me know. And when I get towards the bottom, then I'll know. Mary Beth, that's what we need to stop doing. Eating out. That's what we're going to try to, we're going to try to do that too here. Like eat in more and just, cook dinner and eat here more. We even thought about getting one of those planned, like the meal kits, because Vincent did like his math or something, and he said it's cheaper even just to do a meal kit, like a meal planning kit. But I'm so picky. We might as well just go to the grocery. That's really what it is. We just need to go to the grocery and make the food at home. Hey, PKC. And if I missed anybody, I'm sorry. Hey, Sirius. How are you doing? How you feeling? Hopefully you're doing okay. I'm just reading the chat. Jasmine Pace trials tomorrow. Oh. Ooh, I like me some Sweet Baby Ray. That sounds good. Hey, Aries. I just ate too, and that sounds really good. Like some baby back ribs. Chili's baby back ribs. That's not where I would get them, but Hey, Lenora. Everyone's probably like, this girl is slow. I'm like, I'm very slow today. Hey, Angel, how are you doing? Well, if you can fall asleep to this voice, then you can fall asleep to anything. I like to listen to stuff when I'm getting ready for bed. The wheels on the bus. I like that. I like that name. Hi, doggies. Yeah, they're back there. They hear you. You back there, you hearing them? They said hi. Mia's looking. Araya's, she's out. Hey, DM. I'm better than I was yesterday, but I think I'm going to do a members live tomorrow and talk more about some channel changes we're going to be doing, which is good channel changes. Don't want to say that and like everyone be like, oh my God, something bad's happening. They're really good. Me and Vincent had a really good conversation today. Like we don't every day, but like we had a really good one today. He woke me up. I swear he woke me up this morning, but he said he didn't. But I swear I woke up to him like looking at me saying good morning. Like I really think that he did do that. By Titan meat. Feast of the Gods. Yeah, so I got a crock pot. True Crime Lullabies got me a crock pot for Christmas. I'm gonna make it in a crock pot. Chuck roast. Okay. Man, my mom used to buy the meat and they're around the house. And I'm gonna write that down because I just wanted to make sure I got the right thing because if I don't, then I won't want to make it. You know what I mean? Like, and I was gonna actually make it on my second channel. I was gonna have you guys just like help me make it, like make it with me. It's not that hard to make a roast. You just throw it in there, carrots, potatoes. But I figured why not make a live out of it and you guys could help me because you never know. I just want just a plain old pot roast. Thank you. Thank you guys. Oh, Envision. Thank you. That was nice of you guys to all chip in and help me out. I appreciate that. Because, I didn't know. I said earlier, I was like, I need my mama. Every once in a while, you need them. It was I told Vincent my neck was looking older. Hey, Trixie's Creations. And that's what it was. Well, I'll make sure that you know, Aries, everything going on. Hey, Tempest. Oh no, I can't do I've tried deer meat. It was jerky one time and I couldn't get the thought of it, that it was deer meat out of my mind. But my brother used to, and he still does. My brother hunts and my nephews, they hunt and they're very good. My nephew that's 11 got like a 10 point or something like that, maybe more buck. I was like, really? He got this? My brother was so proud. He put it in the living room on the wall. And then Donovan, my other nephew, on the other side. And I'm like, he got a bigger one than his older brother. That's like 10 years older than him. And he was like, my brother's like, yeah, he doesn't understand the gravity of it yet. Like, I guess the kid didn't even care. He was just like, yeah, like whatever, but like when he gets older, he'll be like, I did that. I don't know. I'm not into hunting myself. I would talk too much. My brother would never take me. Same with fishing. Yeah. I like to go fishing too. And I'll bait my own hook. SSD. Thank you. By the way, I wanted to say, what was that I wanted to thank you for? There was something I wanted to thank you for. What did you do? You did something. Now I'm going to think of it as soon as I get off the live because my brain's not working today. It's just like not functioning. It's shortening out. But I do want to thank someone did send me a PayPal on the 10th and I just saw it. And so I want to thank you for doing that. And SSD, coffee, that's what it was. Okay, that's what it was. I was like, what's it? I knew there was something. Okay, thank you. Oh my gosh. And you know what? I had hot chocolate today. I knew I was at Starbucks. I was like, I should take a picture of my hot chocolate. Huh. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I knew it was something I was like, it'll like, as soon as I get off the live tonight, I'll be like, no. Because I was telling Vincent this morning, I thought that was very nice. Deer processing business? Wow. Yeah, I appreciate it. It was nice. I was like, oh, that's so nice. And if you didn't see, I decorated right here so far for Valentine's. I'm going hard. I'm going hard over here with my little cupcake. See that? It's a little cupcake before we get started with the little cherry. I don't know if that's really Valentine's Day-ish, but I mean, it was with the Valentine's Day decor. And then this little candle that it was super cheap, $6 for both of them. So not a bad deal. I like to decorate like a little bit for you guys. I think it's cute. I do it for you guys. You scored a 98 on your hunter safety class? I could see you hunting true crime lullabies. I could see you hunting. My brother would never take me because he knew I'd talk the whole dang time. I would. I do talk the whole time. You love Valentine's? I do too. Vincent said, I would just have to say, because it was sweet. He said that I'm his like forever Valentine. Because I asked him today, I said, were you ever asked to be like your Valentine? Like, did you ever ask a girl or did a little girl ever ask you? And he's like, no. and I was like, well, do you want to be my Valentine? I ask him every year. He always says, yeah, he better, you know. But I'm telling you, if you want to know what year the best year out of a relationship is, I'm gonna go with 8 years. No, number 8, the 8th year. Hey, Ashley. Yes, it's 15 minutes and we haven't started our live yet, but if they're watching on replay, they can always catch up. I figured tonight we'll do a little bit of an easier live, simple live. And then I wanted to see if you guys wanted to go do go back and just kind of go over the whole Idaho 4 case and its whole, in a whole again, knowing what we know now, go back and just go through the first set of, the first news articles that were coming out and things of that nature. I pulled up some stuff because I was going to do that tonight, but I figured we could just go ahead and do this, get caught up. But I don't know if you guys remember the creator, Johnny Law. He was a guy that came out during the Idaho 4 case. He was one of the first people that kind of knew what the layout of the house looked like. He's like ex-crime scene investigator guy. And I remember he came to the platform and he just grew really quick. He has 25,000 subscribers. He grew but this was in a month he got those. No lie, or maybe 2-3 months. It was really fast. And then he just left the platform. After the Idaho case, after the Idaho case, kind of wasn't as talked about, he just disappeared. So I thought we could go over one of his first videos. That was November 20th. It was pretty good. I was watching it earlier. But I wonder if he's in a different genre or if he just left. Left the whole platform. It was just very weird. But I figured we'd start with this article and then we could go over and listen to this video from Megyn Kelly. She came out. Okay, so we listened to a clip of this the other night, a couple weeks ago. I didn't realize that she had come out with a whole, video. She talks with Howard Blum. They talk about his new book. We read the book here on the channel. So they talk about that. They talk about the defense and what they think the defense strategy is going to be, coming 2025. Well, I guess now we're in 2025. So August, he'll be going to trial, or July, end of July. Hopefully. That's what I should put. Hey, Mr. Rosebud. I should put that as let's do a poll really quick. Okay. I'm going to put a poll up and just a yes or no. So do you think Kohberger will go on trial in July as planned? Okay. And I'll start reading over this. Some of the stuff we read over the legal documents, and we read over an article last night, but I privated that one. So we're going to read over this other article. But it's just the defense wants some of the key evidence tossed in Bryan Kohberger's murder case. And the key evidence meaning they want it all tossed. The DNA, the house, his parents' house, the apartment, the car, Everything, I mean, any search warrant that they did, really, the Amazon warrants, they want a lot of them suppressed or tossed. So it says here that, and we'll watch this little video after we're done. A local legal analyst and attorney doubts the defense's efforts to get evidence thrown out in the Idaho murders trial will make it to court. However, she said it could still have an impact on the case. The defense team of the accused quadruple murderer, Bryan Kohberger, is requesting to throw out key evidence in the case. Kohberger's attorneys base their request on what they say is a violation of his Fourth Amendment rights, which protects people from unreasonable search and seizures. His defense team, because there's okay, so basically in the documents, Ann Taylor was upset because the way they went in and what time they went. Okay, well, Ann Taylor, you got to understand that this was an alleged quadruple unaliver where they didn't find that, they haven't found the murder weapon, right? So they have to go in hot and they have to go in fast. They have to have the things blazing, the little flash bangs, and they got to go in quick because they can't give him enough time to reach for something. They have to get to him before he even thinks about that. Or if he thinks about it, he doesn't do it, Now, it does suck that his whole family was there and they all got, they were all, handcuffed at one point before they, and they were all DNA swabbed. But that's what happens when, you have an alleged unaliver in your home. That's I guess everybody be on your P's and Q's. You never know when they're going to flash banging through the door. Hey, William. Hey, Jeremy. Welcome in, guys. I think if she could get I think if she could get the judge thrown off, she get him thrown out too. Suppress the judge. Kohberger's attorneys based a request on what they say is a violation of his Fourth Amendment right, which I just read that. So his defense team says police illegally obtained the alleged killer's DNA through genetic genealogy and his data from illegally obtained digital histories through his media accounts and cell phone records. That's not how they found him. I mean, they probably did go to his phone records. Actually, I'm a lie. I lied. But they could have went a different route. They could have went, and figured out who his parents were, the old fashioned way, boots on the ground. But I guess they just probably took his phone and it said dad or mom and dad in this phone. And then, get a warrant for that phone number, see who that phone number belongs to. And it belongs to, the Kohbergers. I mean, that's what I would think. Police previously stated Kohberger's cell phone placed him at the scene of the murders about a dozen times before the actual killings. In this case, it was, of course, enormously important because that is how they identify Kohberger, by looking at genetic testing results on DNA from potential family members, said Ann Brenner. Brenner is an attorney and legal analyst with decades of experience as both a prosecutor and defense attorney. How could you do both? I couldn't. I don't know how they do that. She tells Fox 13, if the judge does side with the defense, the impact will be pivotal to the results of the trial. Yeah, they would be. There would be no damn case if they got everything thrown out that they want thrown out. It's like a house of cards. If this fails, then everything fails and the case is gone. But the odds of that happening are extremely slim. Yeah, I don't see him doing that at all, but Bremer said that even though a judge most likely will not side with the defense, the request to toss out the evidence may still have an impact. What the defense wants to do is poke holes in everything in the case. Everything in this case, she said to the public, it seems like there is overwhelming evidence of guilt. Not everyone thinks that. And that may not be what the case is at its as it's produced to a jury. Well, it better be. Because if it's produced to a jury with anything other than, they make him come back, not guilty. Or hung or something. I don't think they would come back with a not guilty verdict. Like where, 12 people said he's not guilty. Brenner said these requests from the defense could lay seeds of doubt in the jurors' minds or set up a strategy for after the verdict. And that's what I think they're doing. They're setting up their strategy for their appeal. Every little thing and every big thing that you raise, you have to think about appeal. Like, we may lose this, but that's an appeal. This is a good issue. We may not want to win that, but that's an appeal, she said. A hearing on the defense's request is scheduled for January 23rd. And I wonder if she's saying that too to Bryan, like, oh, we didn't win that one, but that's okay because we can win that on appeal. I mean, I don't like the word appeal. That means if my lawyer told me we'll win that on appeal, then we already lost. You know what I mean? Like, because you got to be in jail to get the appeal. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be sentenced, like, to start your appeal process. So it's, yeah, I don't like that. I'll be like, what do you think? I'm guilty? It is. So jury selection is at the end of July. So I just started it. I just said in July. Sorry about that. I know I should have said August, but jury selection starts July 30th. And I don't know how long they'll go. I mean, they're saying a couple weeks. They're giving themselves a couple weeks. So is those Kinder Bueno bar? Is that like a granola kind of bar, Mary Beth? I'm curious. Okay, so let me rewind this back. This, and then she changes like 3 times in the first 5 minutes of this video. Don't mind that. Don't mind that. It's like because she does like sorry about that. She does a commercial, like, or whatever. So that's why. So this is Megyn Kelly. If you don't know her, she is a political analyst, I would consider her. I don't know. She's more political than anything, but she does Bryan Kohberger content. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think she really has a bias one way or the other, really. But if you guys don't mind taking a second, hit the like button for me. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, we'd love to have you subscribe to the channel. Her necklace is really pretty, by the way. So yeah, I'll go ahead and we'll play this. I'll pause it here and there, so that way we can always, we can talk about it and stuff. So it's on your birthday, really, goddess. Well, happy birthday. I thought it was going to be in October at some point. At one point, I think it was this case. Was it a Kohberger, or maybe it was? Well, I know Richard Allen was in October, but I know there was a couple cases that were supposed to be in October because it was supposed to be around my birthday.
Megyn Kelly, welcome to the Megyn Kelly Show and today's True Crime Christmas special. Hope you and your
and I want to let you know this is like 3 weeks old. I didn't realize this was out, so we're a little behind, but it's all the same info.
Family had a great Christmas, and now you can relax and unwind with the latest on the case of the alleged Idaho murderer, Bryan Kohberger.
Okay, I'm not going to pause it anymore, but has anyone relaxed since Christmas? Because I haven't. I feel like Christmas is like, it hasn't came yet. I don't know why. I
don't know why true crime is a getaway of sorts, but it kind of is. It just takes your mind off of what's going on in your own life, the to-do list that's constantly humming, and lets you focus on something else that's serious, that requires attention. And in this case, a bit of a mystery too. There's a lot to dig into with Howard Blum. He's the author of the book, When the Night Comes Falling, which includes much of his extensive and amazing reporting on this case. The big news is a trial is scheduled, and it's now just months away. We'll get into that, plus all the avenues the defense is likely to employ when it comes to genetic genealogy, cell phone pings, and much, much more. Watch. Don't miss a moment. Subscribe to this show on YouTube and follow me on Insta, Facebook, and X. Did you know that
this is just an infomercial or commercial or whatever you call it? Oh, there she is. Oh.
We think we have a trial date and that this thing is going to start August 11th, 2025. It's been moved to Boise, out of Moscow, and they're estimating it's going to take till, they got very specific, November 7th, August 11th to November 7th. That's all that can change. But it's been moved and it's finally set. It's taken forever. I know the families some of them are annoyed that it has taken this long to finally get a trial date. And I predict this one will probably be pushed too. But now we have a new judge. Judge is gone. And Judge Hippner, I think, is in, right?
Hippler.
Is that Hippler? It's like very close to the other name that sounds just like that, I've got to say. And so where do things stand? How do you like where the defense
I don't know why that made me laugh so hard, but it did.
Is at this point so close now to potential trial?
What the defense has to do at this point is to raise as many questions as possible. I say that even though every time the defense appears in the courtroom, Ann Taylor, the lead defense attorney, makes it a point of putting her arm rather maternally even around Kohberger and saying, I believe 100% in his innocence. And yet what she has to do, the dialectics of her case, is to raise questions. And unfortunately, for anyone who believes that Kohberger is guilty, as I do, there are a lot of questions she can raise. The first one is the Brady evidence, evidence that should have been given to the defense has not been given to them. This involves forensic genetic material. They have not gotten all of it. They had to go to court. The prosecution was holding back. Why the prosecution would hold back on this immediately raises questions. What are they trying to cover up? This is America. Give them everything. Let the jury see everything. Don't
I agree with
give
that.
an excuse for the jury to have any doubts. But they've only given.
I agree with that too, because I don't, if it's, I mean, even if it's not something that it's recognized, like IgG, it needs to be worked into our like governments, I feel like a little bit better, and like using genetic genealogy and stuff like that. But this can't be the case. Like Anne makes good points. I feel like sometimes she does, but this can't be like the first case that they decide that they're going to like, throw the book at the cops because they, obtained it like this certain way that everybody else is the same way that they have obtained it. But, like this can't be the case. Like, oh, nope, sorry. This is the case. We're going to exclude that as evidence. Like start writing your laws or whatever you want done. But in my opinion, this is a quadruple homicide and they did it through IgG. And as far as I know, there's nothing illegal about that.
Back some of it. What specifically they've given still remains under seal. But I think this genetic information that the defense has is going to raise questions about when and how did the authorities know about Kohberger. One of the attorneys involved.
This is big. Just to set this up, you broke this in airmail, as we mentioned in the intro, where you write. And it has to do with the knife sheath, the one piece of DNA evidence that we know of that was found in this case. And what we know now is that what they say is they found the knife sheath, they had it tested for DNA, they found touch DNA on it, which is legit, but not like the best. And they were able to get a hit in some DNA database that brought up the name Kohberger, in particular Kohberger's dad. And they could say this was the DNA of the killer's father. So they're claiming that's what, eventually brought us to Kohberger. That's sort of where we thought it was. And then they tested his DNA and they say, and that made it clear it was Kohberger. But you're saying not so fast. There may have been some shenanigans along the chain.
And it's not just me saying this, it's what the defense is saying. The defense is saying, well, if you actually did it the way you've explained, got the information that way, share everything with us. Tell us what the FBI did. The FBI, to add to this confusion, is not even giving everything to the prosecution, or at least that's what the prosecution is saying. They're saying, well, we don't have everything from the FBI. Now, by law, the FBI is supposed to preserve all their genetic investigation. Has it been destroyed? Is it missing? Or, and this is what the defense is looking for, is there something they're trying to hide? What could they be trying to hide?
Yeah,
well,
why?
It comes down to this. when you're doing this investigation, where you're trying to build out a family tree, you can only go to certain genetic databases. The other ones are precluded by law from allowing the legal authorities to get into them. Did the FBI go into a database where they shouldn't have? That seems to be a question that they're trying to cover up. And ultimately, it comes down to, was Kohberger, one of the attorneys involved in the case, has compared it to as if they took him into a lineup, and it was a rigged lineup. They knew he was guilty to begin with. They already had the man they were looking for. This also comes back to something I wrote about early on. I've said that when Kohberger and his father left Washington State to go home for Christmas, they did this on December 12th. I said the FBI were following them.
In my opinion, I don't think that anybody was following them.
FBI,
You were like the only person who had that report.
I don't think that
I had it first, and it was picked up by others, repeated by others. The FBI.
We'll see whenever they go to trial. I believe wholeheartedly that they pulled him over twice, because that's Indiana for you.
To this day, denies that they were following him.
They might have
Now,
been following
why
him,
this is
though.
so interesting, I've covered lots of stories. The FBI usually doesn't comment. Usually says, well, we're not going to comment, wait till trial. This, they've been vehemently denying it. And why are they denying this? Because I think the only way they could have been doing this, the only way they could have been following him, is if they had accessed information that they should not have. And the fact.
All right, let me just stop you there. Let me stop you there, because so we can walk the audience through what you're saying step by step. That was just a shot from a police body cam of them getting pulled over, which they did. Was it 3 times? Three times, right?
Twice.
Okay.
Twice again, which is amazing in itself. I mean, you couldn't make that up.
No, so they got pulled.
No, you can't. You can believe it. We have interstates here, like Route 23 is a really big pipeline for trafficking, drugs, the whole 9 yards. And then I think it's either 70 or 71 that goes across. And this is the one that they were on. And that one is the same thing. They will pull anybody over. If you have a different license plate than their state, 98% chance you're going to get pulled over. I've been pulled over in Indiana. Wasn't doing nothing wrong. I don't even remember what he pulled me over for. Forget. Speeding or something. But I don't even think I was speeding. It wasn't speeding. It was because I was like, I wanted to do anything wrong. I don't know what they told me I did, but yeah, we got pulled over. Me and a friend of mine. Going on vacation.
Pulled over when they were driving. This is post the murders. Bryan Kohberger's driving with his dad cross country back from.
Because I mean, really, what reason would they have to pull him over twice? That would just make him scared, like nervous. They would be spooking the suspect. Why would you be spooking him? So he runs? So he doesn't throw any of his DNA away? What? No, he wouldn't do that.
Washington State to the Poconos, Pennsylvania, and they got pulled over not once but twice and let go with just, a warning to obey the traffic laws. And you reported that the FBI was following him, was watching him during this trip, that at one point when he left Washington State, they lost him and they had to retrieve him or find him again, thanks to like the Easy Pass data that, can track the cars. And
right,
they did find him. Yeah, license plate reader. And so your report was very specific. It wasn't just like the FBI knew who he was, so it's logical they were following him. You were reporting, no, they were following, and they had a real decision to make about whether to intervene when the local cops with whom.
I thought he went a different way, though, so that like the Easy Pass wouldn't be like, remember they went through like Colorado and all that? Like they went down and then they went up. I thought that was for that reason.
They did not coordinate, genuinely pulled him over for 2 traffic violations. It was very specific, Howard.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, can you imagine you're the FBI, you're following this guy who's your person of interest in a murder case, and suddenly you see him being pulled over, and you don't know how he's going to respond. If he is indeed guilty, well, he could, and if he is indeed the murderer of 4 people, something could happen to this police officer, this highway patrolman who's trying to stop the car, or the car could take off. You could have an OJ chase across America. But the FBI makes its decision to hang back, because one of the reasons they decide to hang back is because what they're doing is secret. They have not even told the Moscow police, who are their partners in this investigation, that they already have this person of interest. They don't reveal to the Moscow police until a week later, until after the Kohbergers get to Pennsylvania. And why are they doing this? What are they keeping secret? They're keeping secret that because of their zeal to catch a monster, they may be played fast and loose with the rules on DNA acquisition of certain websites. And that's what they're trying to keep quiet.
So because you say, you accurately point out, and I think the audience has a good enough feel to know this, the FBI, you're right, they never give statements. I mean, when does the FBI ever come out and say, we deny we were there? They say nothing. They let us as media people pound sand, do absolutely like just twist. They don't need to confirm or deny anything. It's kind of the way the DOJ operates, same, related organization. So on your story though, and with all due respect to you and Airmail, you've owned the story, but like, it's not exactly like it was on the cover of the New York Times and they kind of, felt like they had to. They
ain't nobody giving Howard Blum the 411. I'm sorry, but we'll read the airmails. We've read all like 6 of them, but like, you know what I mean? He has as much credentials as I have. I may have more. I'm not a writer, but I have science on my side.
Could have blown you off. But they didn't. They come out and they're like, it's not true. We weren't following him, which in a way is more telling than if they'd said nothing. And so now you go to what is it? Why would they do that? And then we have to go back on the timeline to figure out why they might be feeling squirrely about Howard Blum's report that they knew Bryan Kohberger was their suspect, and they knew it well before they now say they knew it, which was the end of December. Now they want us to believe they didn't have him until the end of December. But you're reporting they had him much earlier than that, thanks to the genetic genealogy, and how they made the ID is where the big questions come in. Not you. I know the defense is saying this.
The exact dates, I mean, the FBI has said they identified him on December 19th. He became a person of interest. And that was because of car license plate readings, and then they still hadn't done the DNA yet.
They got his car because of a guy patrolling the neighbor, or like patrolling around the campus or something, and saw his car parked at his house and was like, that looks like the vehicle that we're looking for, and ran the plate. That's what I thought. What's Howard Blum talking about?
Saying some plate readings, and then they still hadn't done the DNA yet. I am saying that on approximately December 11th, that's when they first got aware of Kohberger, and everything else followed. It was the DNA that led the case and allowed them to track everything else down. And you see in the public affidavit at the time,
if they had his DNA back then why would they be sneaking and through his parents' garbage to get his DNA? I'm confused, Howard Blum.
I mean, the arrest, there's really no mention of the investigative genealogy work that was done. And the prosecution would like to keep this all out of the case. They say it's irrelevant to how we made our case. But the defense, and I think has a really good case, is saying, show it to us. What are you keeping secret? Why are you hiding this? And it's all going to be about confusing jurors. When you don't.
No, wait. So I want to just keep this linear line going so people can follow, because it's complex. This explains so much, because when the case was first unfolding, we were all reading the Howard Blum updates in airmail like it was, your college admissions letter. It was like you couldn't wait for it to hit, refresh. And you reported the genetic genealogy. Like we were hearing, yes, they got him thanks to genetic genealogy and DNA. But NBC News had this explosive dateline right around that time in which Steph Gosk, who's a good reporter, reported that no, they got him. She wasn't disagreeing with anybody specifically, but she was saying, we've got how it went down. They got him thanks to identification of the white Hyundai Elantra. some eagle-eyed cop
Mm-hmm.
who was at the University of Washington, where he was a TA, saw that this was the car that they were looking for, and just on his downtime started searching files and found that they did have somebody at the University of Washington. And we do believe that this all happened. But what actually led to the identification of Kohberger and when is what we're trying to get to here. And said, aha, there's one. Let me pull up the description.
Oh,
and there's a guy with bushy eyebrows, which had already been released. So that this guy's like, this is great. I'm going to send this in. So he sends in the tip or contacts somebody, tries to at the FBI to say, I think I might have somebody you should look at, but that they had a big stack of white Hyundai Elantras. And it took them a while to get to it, but then they did get to it, and boom, that's how they eventually figured out it's Bryan Kohberger. Bushy eyebrows, eagle-eyed guy over at University of Washington. And now it seems in retrospect, this is my opinion, that very well may have been the FBI telling her that, or Moscow police, which didn't know about the FBI, saying, no, that's how we found him.
And I would agree it was the Moscow police. The report is sent on the white Hyundai that the Washington State Police, they sent it to Moscow. And what they do is they stick it in their file, basically. And it sits there for several days until they get around to it. Then the FBI begins following him, and then the decision is made to get the confirming evidence they need. This is just days before the arrest, around December 27th. They steal garbage from the Kohberger home, and that ties it to his father, but not to Kohberger directly. The only direct DNA evidence that the prosecution has that was willing to admit on Kohberger comes from after he's arrested. He's in the jail cell. The first thing they do is take a cheek swab of the DNA, and then they compare that to the DNA that was found on the knife sheath. And that's when they're convinced they have their guy.
Okay. But before that, when they're still, because the audience remembers there was all sorts of pressure on law enforcement to produce the suspect who did this crime. 4 beautiful, promising Americans were killed on this university campus in the middle of the night. Their throats slit, them stabbed to death within moments. I mean, the whole crime took in between like 12 and 18 minutes at most. And who was it? Who was it? Why don't they have a suspect? So a lot of pressure on law enforcement. And the suggestion by the defense seems to be the FBI understanding and feeling that pressure when it should have been limited. We've had CeCe Moore, who invented genetic genealogy. She's the one who came up with this amazing technique, which has solved a lot of crimes. That she told me directly, you are only allowed when you're pursuing these leads to access this public database of DNA. You're using a website, not 23andMe, not Ancestry.com, called GED Match. And my understanding is the way you populated this GED Match, because you point out you need as many samples on there as possible, is by encouraging people who are into this, who would like to connect with other relatives, to take their 23andMe, their Ancestry.com results and upload them to GED Match, and to widen the chances that they'll connect with somebody.
Right. So GEDmatch was started by 2 friends of mine, Curtis Rogers and John Olson, back in 2010-11. And of course, when it started, there was no.
Wow. That's when I graduated college. 2011. Wow.
Went in there. So we had.
I didn't think that I was around. I mean, I didn't think I was around for like GEDmatch.
Had to convince people
school,
to
you know what I mean?
Download their raw data from one of the other sites, which at the time was just 23andMe and Family Tree DNA, and upload to GEDmatch. And so it was just a small site, kind of a playground for more advanced genetic genealogists. It was where we could try out new tools. We could do cross-company comparisons. So if you tested at 23andMe and I tested at Family Tree DNA or later Ancestry, we could both upload there for free and then compare our data looking for those long identical shared segments.
So if you go and let's say you go to 23andMe or you go to Ancestry.com or any of these public companies and you want to get your genealogy and you give them your DNA, they're not allowed to share that with anybody. But if you say, share with everybody, Or if you go upload your DNA on this public database, then that's different. Some people really want it to be everywhere. Some people are like looking
Right.
for their, birth mother and their adopters. They want it in as many places as possible. So the public database is more limited in some ways than those private databases, which are more protected. And she was saying, it's kind of a frustration that you can't get into those privates, but that's the way it is. You're limited as a genetic genealogist to this public database. The suggestion here seems to be maybe an overzealous FBI crossed those lines, and I don't know with which company, but crossed those lines in a way that they are not allowed to do.
Yes, and that's what the defense is trying to get. And what's so interesting to me, and again, I'm a layman, I'm not a lawyer like you, but usually if you have your case, you give everything. Give the prosecution hands over everything. Let it all be out there. Let's not make an issue for the jury. Let them decide. Why are they holding this back? What are they holding back? And they want to keep the investigative genealogy part of the case out of the trial even. They say all we're going to use the prosecution is after his arrest, the DNA we take from the cheek swab. And that leaves the situation where you can have a man who's very guilty, who might very well be a monster, but there's going to be enough doubts in the jury's mind to maybe let him go, especially in a death penalty case.
Well, let's talk about that because, it's very interesting to me to think about if the FBI crossed a line, which is where the defense is driving. They're saying, why wouldn't you just turn over exactly what happened in your genetic genealogy search? There's no reason for us to not know exactly how you got the name Bryan Kohberger, or more specifically, his dad's name. And they won't. They have been fighting this at every step of the way. It's very weird. If they didn't do anything wrong, why would just show it? Just turn it over. But they asked Judge, they've been asking, and now they ask the new judge, like they've been trying at every turn to try to get this info over the FBI, or now the prosecution's objections, because the argument will be, we used to have this in law school, if you obtain evidence through an illegal search, you can't use it as the prosecutor. It's barred. You can't violate the Constitution and just go into somebody's house and search for the murder weapon without having a search warrant. That's because people have constitutional rights to privacy, et cetera.
Your Fourth Amendment rights.
But there's an exception to this.
Congratulations there. You knew that.
Rule.
He sounded like he was excited.
Which is, if you can prove, it's called inevitable discovery, that we inevitably would have discovered this person anyway, then you can get past having your case thrown out. And the evidence you're trying to get in, you can potentially get it in as well. And this is why, for example, Matt Murphy, who's a 27-year prosecutor in the state of California, we've had him on the show a bunch of times. I asked him about this when you broke the news, Howard, about this is where the defense is going. This is why Matt Murphy does not think this will be an issue for team prosecution, even if the FBI crossed lines. I'm going to run the soundbite. Stand by. Here it is. So you're saying even if they detected Bryan Kohberger's dad by doing something untoward, by maybe accessing some database they shouldn't have, the feds and so on, that you still like the prosecution's chances because they were driving at Bryan Kohberger through more than just the DNA on the knife sheath, and he would have been inevitably discovered.
Yes, and the remedy generally for DNA problems like this is you just retest the suspect. He can't change his DNA. His DNA doesn't change. There's a whole rash of these things, and they've been challenged, and they have repeatedly been shut down by the courts of appeal. And so, the Kohberger defense team, they're doing what they have to do. I have no criticism for them. That's their job, is to ensure that their client gets fair trial and to present whatever issues they can. But they're pretty dramatic about a lot of the things that they're doing. And I can tell you right now, I have, that sounds good. It sounds good, especially to a lay audience, that his DNA the DNA on that knife sheath is going to be admitted against Bryan Kohberger in that trial. They're not going to be able to successfully suppress it, and it will be affirmed on appeal.
So Howard, are you hearing more confidence that this is a problem from the defense team?
I think, first, Matt Murphy knows a lot more about the law than I do or ever will. He's also very articulate, and he's been a defense attorney and a prosecutor, I think, prosecutor. And what the defense is going to do is raise a whole lot of doubts. If you look at every individual item, is how much dirt they can kick up that confuse the jury, get dirt in their eyes, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
When you you'll have the cell phone data. The cell phone data puts Kohberger within a 13-mile radius.
I'm going to interrupt him for a sec, though. But at the end of trial and at the beginning of trial, that's what we call opening and closing statements. And the prosecution is going to put out the whole thing. This is why, this is how it happened, the who, what, when, where, why, and that it's opening statements opening statements to me. I think they're almost as good, if not better, than the whole trial, because you get like a lot of what's going to be going on in trial and in that hour and a half that they talk. So yeah, the defense can take, the DNA evidence and try to, throw up dirt, like he was saying, and then take, I guess, I don't know how they would do that with surveillance, but, surveillance cameras. But the totality, when it's all set out, in total, it's going to, in my opinion, not look that great. Now, I don't know. Maybe Bryan's not guilty. Maybe he's innocent. But from what we've seen so far, it ain't looking good for old Bri. It's just not.
At different times.
Now, maybe if he would have stood up and he said he wasn't guilty, or, maybe did one of those things, maybe a better alibi would have worked. Maybe I was sleeping. If I was him, I would have said, I don't know what I was doing, but I wasn't unaliving 4 people. Like, I don't know. The whole driving and then looking at the stars, I can't get over it.
That's not being at the same place as a crime. You have the surveillance videos of the white car, and Kohberger has a white Hyundai car. But during the course of the FBI's looking for the car, they made 3 different years for the car. They weren't sure. And in every photograph, there's not one that shows the man behind the wheel or the license plate. So what they have to do is raise doubts. I mean, can they raise enough doubts? And that's what the trial will see. There's also another issue in the trial. There's going to be new witnesses. One of the key things about the pretrial discovery I've been following is both the prosecution and the defense have raised the issue of a confidential source that needs to be protected. They both agree on this. They said that this has to be covered up. If I can read, this is what the defense said, why they want their documents for discovery under seal. The document contains facts or statements that might endanger the life or safety of individuals. And then the prosecution came back and agreed by saying that the release of discovery evidence could, quote, disclose the identity of a confidential source. Ooh. A confidential source. So there might be some surprises in this trial. So you add to the confusion with the DNA evidence, you add confidential sources coming out of the woodwork at the last minute. This is going to be an interesting trial.
Oh, very. Well, I'm
interesting to say the least.
I'm trying to think what role a confidential source could have in this case. How could one be even tangentially connected to this case? And all I could think is that there is a potential defense line of argument that this house was allegedly somehow connected to drugs or drug dealers.
Oh, she means for the defense.
And maybe there's a witness who's going to say that.
Yes, I mean, I think that's an area that they're pursuing. I know the defense has spent a lot of time trying to build up the drug case. What I've also heard, though, in the autopsies, they found no evidence of any drugs in the system of any of the 4 young kids that were killed, that were murdered. But is there a drug angle there? Is one of the surviving people who were in the house, the 2 young women, is she going to be this confidential source? This remains to be seen. The father of Kayla Goncalves has been searching for this confidential source. And at one point, his lawyer, according to what he's told people, received a letter from the FBI, telling him not to intervene to look for this confidential source or it could disrupt the case.
But we don't know who it is or what business they're in.
We don't know. Maybe we could just speculate, but the defense is in the business of raising doubts. I mean, will it be effective?
Well, I think for whatever it's worth, I think the whole line we were discussing about the genetic genealogy, I don't think that will make it in front of a jury. I think that's the kind of thing you make in a written motion to the judge to exclude the DNA as a matter of law from coming in. And I think the judge is going to overrule that. He's going to reject that motion for the reasons Matt Murphy said. And then if they say, well, we want to at least argue it to the jury, I'm not sure it's relevant because they did an actual cheek swab of him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe you could argue it's relevant if you want to show this is a bumbling FBI that has a pattern of crossing lines. I haven't heard else that would support that.
Blame
so I don't think
the
the judge would
FBI.
allow that. But
Like
right now,
you can't blame old Moscow PD for what some of the FBI did. I'm just saying.
think it's interesting as a matter of law for a motion, not something you could get in front of a jury.
I mean, at this point, the defense has to use every, I would say, trick that they can, every bit of law that they can. I mean, look at their client's alibi. It's been nearly 2 years, and what they've come up with after they've been pressed numerous times by the court is that he was out at 4 a.m. looking at the stars in a wilderness park where there are no witnesses. It was, below zero that night at the wilderness park, and it was a cloudy sky, but the suspect was out there nevertheless.
Do we know anything? I said before that we think that the knife sheath is the only DNA, but do we know that? I mean, they did a lot of searching of his apartment, of his car, of the bodies.
All
Do you think it could be possible that he had more than one knife, like more than one K-bar? Like same exact K-bar, but more than one? Him leaving that sheath to me, like, I don't know. He had to have seen Dylan. In my opinion. Or heard her maybe getting back into bed when he was going back up, or going out, in my opinion, he was going back up the stairs to get the knife sheath, but other people think he was going out the back door. I don't know. I just don't understand how he would leave the whole dang knife sheath there. So big.
All that's been released to the public is the knife sheath DNA, the button on the knife sheath, actually. And that is, they've said, compares within reason of doubt to the cheek swab they took after the arrest. The prosecution, if they have their way, won't even mention the DNA that originally got them there that was taken from the family's home that was tied to the father. They want to keep that out of the case completely, and the defense will be moving heaven and earth to try to bring that in.
Right, just to muck it up a little bit for the jury so it's not so clear cut. Found a knife sheath, the DNA matches this guy right now because we did a cheek swab and it was a perfect match. They'd like to skip whatever happened in the interim.
And the prosecution is smart enough to realize and that the goal of the defense is to try to, as you say it, muck things up. So if they didn't have anything to hide, why wouldn't they just put it into evidence? They said, okay, this is how we got it. This is nothing to be ashamed of, using investigative forensic genealogy to get in there. But they seem to be holding something back, and that's raising more questions. And
I think that they're not talking about the dad because it might confuse people. Then, you know what I mean? Like, we had to go to Kohberger's dad we found the trash. We got his DNA. Then we, had to go to Kohberger to get the direct match. I mean, I think they just skip that part and they just go to the meat and potatoes and say, yeah, we got a direct hit. Maybe that's what it is.
The defense something to work with.
And this is now
the
something
confidential
that's
witnesses.
Right, in which we don't know. But this whole thing that we're discussing about the genetic genealogy took a turn for the better for the defense with this change of venue. How so?
Well, because I think this judge is going to be more sympathetic to the defense. He will demand, I think, to the prosecution. Yes, Hippler. I think he's going to be a bit tougher. It's interesting. On the first day when he convened the court in Boise, the first thing he said was, "I'd like to say I'm happy to be here, but I don't want to begin with a lie." He came right out. That's what he told the courtroom.
I'm sure
and
that's
he's
true.
going to be, yes, he doesn't want to be this. The judge before him, as it seems clear now, couldn't wait to get off the case. As soon as he had the first opportunity to leave the case because of the change of venue, he could have stayed on the case. He was glad to go too. I mean, this is going to be
Judge wanted. I mean, we had Judge. We have Ann Taylor, defense lawyer, and now we have Judge Hippler. Again, it reminds me of my friend. Her last name was Laden. She had a baby boy. She named him Quinn Laden. Just don't.
I love the first time she said it. Okay, because I think this is why. Because I got to show you. I have to have the comments somewhere still. Like I had to have saved it in my there's like comments section. It doesn't go on your comments. It's like YouTube will hold certain comments. And one of the comments that was held for me was someone called me Hitler. And I'm like, what? Of all the people? I'm like, dang, I don't think I'm a Hitler. But she says Hippler sounds like Hitler. And then that sounds like a medicine. It almost sounds like a medicine. Oh man, that's funny.
You don't want to come anywhere near it. Stay away. Stay away.
Right.
I think maybe change it to Hypner. That's my advice to this judge. Okay, so anyway, so now we're going to go ahead in Boise, supposedly on August 11th, and there just was a motion that, I think it's granted, that Bryan Kohberger, in all the pretrial appearances and at the trial, will be allowed to appear in a suit. They're not going to make him wear his prison clothes. And we recently got another look at him because he had to have another mugshot taken. What did the new mugshot show us?
The new mugshot showed us a very stylish, well put together Bryan Kohberger, who seems to become.
Hold on a second here. Let's see the difference. I never thought about that. Like of his first one. Let's see if we can find his first one. Oh man. He does look a lot different. I don't know why I'm laughing so much. I shouldn't be laughing at this, but it's just Kohberger. And that's why I'm laughing. Okay. So you see him here. I think it's because he's off the rugs. Maybe he was on rugs. I don't know. But this is Kohberger when he first got the Toledo. He had that arch in his back and everything. Remember, like when he walks into court now, he stands straight up. Well, he was opening the door for the guy, the cop that would come in with him at one point, but he's probably not as relaxed as he was there, but man, he does look a lot different. He like this one. Yeah, he looks like fresher or something. Like his eyes, like they don't look as dark. I don't know. He's doing something about them eyebrows because they're getting less bushy as we go along.
Become almost a new handsome young man in prison. He's
got like new facial hair going.
Yeah, he has a 3-day growth. He's looking good. And you can sort of see his whole demeanor during the different hearings.
He said he's looking good in Sherman. She was just like, what?
And there have been so many hearings and they've all been on Zoom. I haven't been in the courtroom, but he seems to be staring straight ahead all the time. Mm-hmm. Even when Ann Taylor comes over and puts this maternal arm around his shoulder, he doesn't budge. He seems completely out of it, just staring straight ahead.
It's just like Menendez, really. We've been covering that case too with Leslie Abramson and Eric Menendez. She would do that with the arm around him. Poor Eric, as this poor kid who was abused, trying to telegraph to the jury, this guy deserves your sympathy, not your condemnation. I'm not sure that's going to fly here. He does have a family, though. Have they been participating in any of these hearings?
They have been zooming into the hearings. They talk with the lawyers in Pennsylvania. Will they come out to the actual trial? I imagine so. I think the families of the victims, two of them so far, have gone on the internet to do funding campaigns. The Goncalves family said they needed to raise $50,000 to go to the trial so that all 10 family members could attend. They raised the $50,000 so quickly that now they've raised their demand to $75,000. They'd like people to contribute so they can raise $75,000.
Well, they have like 10 people going.
They want to be there.
Right.
They also have been vigorously pushing for the death penalty in this case. That's going.
If they want $100,000, give it to them. They're uprooting their lives because they have to, because somebody took their daughter away from them. Give them all the money in the world. I bet you what they would do, they would say, keep the money. We'd rather have our daughter.
To be the next, I think.
I've heard creators and I've heard people say that, go on about with Steve and the GoFundMe and stuff. And I think it's just real sad. It's really sad. They should have the opportunity to be able to face the accuser that unalived their daughter and her best friend and the prime of their life before they even had the prime of their life.
Big debate in this case in these pre-trial months, whether or not the death penalty.
I mean, he's getting paid off of their book, off of their story.
Will take place. And the use of the death penalty in Idaho is pretty problematic because of recent events. Last February, Idaho had their first execution was taking place in 9 years. What happened at this execution, they put the guy, his name was Thomas Creech, convicted of murder, into the execution chamber, and they're trying to give him the chemicals that will end his life. For over an hour, they try 8 different veins to get into him, 8 different ways to get the needle into him, and nothing works. And now they had to postpone the execution. I can assure you that the defense will be going through all the details of.
How does that even happen? I know we got some nurses in here. Okay. Because they have the vein thing where you can go over it with this blue light or whatever the light is, and it shows you exactly what vein to have, so you don't miss. I know for me personally, if I have an IV put in, it goes in my hand. I know every time it's the worst place to have it done, but I know every time they're going to find a vein. Is it because you're so nervous? Is there something with your nerves? It just constricts them or something? Because it's crazy if they're pricking him like that. I'd be like, get another nurse in here that knows what she's doing. I think that would be, they could do ultrasound. Yeah. How much do you think BK trial will cost total? Oh, I don't know. Was it OJ's $5 million or something? No, that was Lori Vallow. Lori Vallow, I think, was $5 million. Dehydration can cause it. Oh, I wouldn't want that. I would just rather. That's why I just do the hand.
This botched execution and saying that this is cruel and inhuman punishment, and Idaho just doesn't have the sophistication to make an execution. They just can't do it, and to see if that will affect the judge.
Can't you be executed by firing squad
I would say that.
in Idaho?
For this case, last May, they passed a law that went into effect last June that will allow a firing squad. $750,000 was put aside by the state to turn the execution chamber into a place where they could also have a firing squad. That this would be only happen if they couldn't find the chemicals necessary for a chemical execution. Oddly enough, people can get fentanyl on the streets. The state of Idaho has had trouble at times getting the correct chemicals for an execution.
Wow.
The $750,000 that has been put aside to make this a a room suitable for a firing squad has never been used. They have not done any sort of renovations at the state penitentiary to this date.
It just occurred to me something, Howard. Is there any chance the confidential informant is his criminology professor who was so respected back in
Oh.
Pennsylvania?
Dr. Ramslin?
Dr. Ramslin,
Yeah.
she's an interesting woman. I mean, she writes brilliantly, perceptively about serial killers. She's a forensic psychologist.
Answer the
She
question.
teaches at DeSalle University. That was, he was her star student. She is in communication with the family. I know that. I've been told that by people who know. She got in the early days, right after his arrest. She contacted the family. She said, "Is there any way I can help?" And they were so glad to have someone who wanted to be supportive. She said, according to what I've heard, "I don't know if he's innocent or guilty, but if I can help you, guide you through this complicated process, I'd be glad to." And
I'm glad. I really do hope that they have someone like that. His parents deserve that.
she has conveyed through the family information to him. I've been told that. Could she be the confidential witness? That would be really interesting. I think, I think at this point she's probably working on her own book.
Yeah. Well, I just feel like it's probably not her, but the reason I thought of it is, of course, she has access to
Who
a
could it
bunch of
be?
people getting advanced degrees and degrees in criminology. And as we've seen, this isn't the first time this has happened. There can be a fine line between criminologist and criminal. And it wouldn't be outside the realm of possibility to think maybe someone like the feds or law enforcement would go to somebody like that pre-Bryan Kohberger and say, let us know if anybody comes across your radar who you've got concerns about. And it could just be something where now they're protecting her. This is total speculation by me. Is probably more than likely the other angle that we discussed.
I'm sure they've reached out to her because the big question in this entire case, really, and it's going to be fundamental, I think, into getting a conviction, is why were 4 people killed? At this point, neither the prosecution or the defense has put out a motive that makes sense in any way. What they have said is, for the record, that Bryan Kohberger had no interaction ever with any of the victims. He did not speak with them. They have no record of it. He did not follow them on social media. So why? I try to address that in my book. I come up with a theory of why he did it, but again, it's just a theory. I think in the courtroom, they're going to need some answers if they want to get a conviction.
I guess so. It's just very hard to respond to irrational behavior with a rational explanation. I know juries would want it, but it's like, look at what Jeffrey Dahmer did. Like, it makes no sense to any sane human being. This guy, if he did this crime, is a sick puppy. And so it's like, how are you ever going to explain this? But yeah, I mean,
Dahmer's dad also came out and talked about it, though. Do you think Bryan Kohberger's dad will do that?
You've come as close as anybody. I mean, that's why we love reading your work, both your book and your articles for Airmail.
Thank you.
Just spin a theory that really draws you in and makes a lot of sense. I mean, he was on the outside looking in at these amazingly beautiful women living this life he would never live. And he was a tortured soul. This we know about the guy, whether he committed the murder or not. He was a tortured soul.
Very much so. I think the key point of the theory that I come up with, and again, it's only a theory, is that he didn't go that night to kill all 4 people. He just went to, for some reason.
Did he take his glasses?
He wanted to kill Maddie Meygn.
Hold on. I swear hold on. I think he broke his glasses. Hold on. Did he get too excited?
The key point of the theory that
look, okay, he's holding something like my glasses. Like he's waving something which looks like it would be like a glass, like an arm, like with one hand, and then he's holding his glasses with the other. And I don't think his glasses are like this, but it looks like they're broke. Hold on, let me get back just like another second.
Very much so. I think
right there. Look, okay. When he moves, this is going to be
the key point of the theory that I come up with, and again, it's only a theory, is that he wasn't after go that night to kill all 4 people. He just
When did Howard Blum break his glasses? He got too excited. I'm gonna have to get back and rewatch this whole thing just so I can see when he broke them.
went to, for some reason, he wanted to kill Maddie Meygn. He felt he could not live in a world where she lived, her beauty, her exuberance, that was just a constant rebuke to him and the life he was leading. So he goes into the house, he goes up the stairs to her bedroom, then he finds Kaylee is there too, and and she becomes collateral damage, and then downstairs there's Ethan and Xana. They too are killed just because they were there. And the woman who survives, Dylan, who sees him, if she had cried out, if she had said anything, he probably didn't even notice her. He was so locked in his own mania. Again, this is my theory, that he just went out through this kitchen door. If she had spoken a word, she too would have been killed. Her silence, her retreating back to her bedroom saved her life. But the prosecution is going to have to build out a theory that's going to be, not as circumstantial as I can in print or on the air. They're going to have something, there's a lot of elements. We keep on saying, well, they can get over this hurdle, the prosecution can get over this hurdle, but you raise enough hurdles and it's going to be very hard for a jury, especially in a case where man might have to face a firing squad.
If he hadn't left behind that knife sheath, this would be a very different case.
Yep.
It would be so hard because we've never found a murder weapon. All they would have been the car evidence.
Yeah.
And as you point out, if it's really only going to show that his car came within 13 miles of the murder home, that's not going to get it done. It's that knife sheath and the reports that he bought this K-bar knife online on Amazon, 2 months before. Those are the 2 best pieces of evidence.
Right. And that's
Amazon.
Maybe very thin gruel to send a man to a firing squad. It's all the pieces come together, make a more coherent whole than each of the individual ones. But it's going to be a real burden on the jury, I think. I think it's going to be a fascinating
I missed
trial.
the other great piece of evidence against him. And that is the fact that he was stuffing his trash into little baggies to dispose of at the neighbor's house the night the FBI and the local law enforcement came into his house in the Poconos to arrest him.
Yeah.
And just to let y'all know, we found this out the other night when we were reading the documents. We didn't know this before. I didn't know this before. And if y'all knew this beforehand, let me know where you saw it at, because I've never read this before. But he was not wearing, okay, so you know how they said that he was in the kitchen wearing gloves, bagging his trash into Ziploc baggies, like smaller Ziploc baggies. Well, they made me assume, and I think a lot of people, we all assumed they were latex gloves like that you were to wear, like, wish I had a pair, but like surgical latex gloves, like the small ones. These, they actually told us in the documents the other day that it was the yellow dishwashing gloves. Like they were the yellow dishwashing gloves that says that every household has, or something like that. And I was like, what? I was like, I didn't know that they were dish gloves. So who is that? What was that movie? Was that Psycho where he wore the dish gloves and he put the sheet, what was it? The clear paper, all over the apartment. Wasn't that movie? Psycho, American Psycho or something. But that's what this is making me think of with the gloves and everything. See, I think he had both. So I think he was using surgical gloves for certain things, the unaliving and stuff like that. I don't think he was wearing the big yellow ones, but maybe they were just in the kitchen and he's just like, oh, I'll just wear these. I won't, I'll save mine. I don't know. Just very strange. Whenever I read that, I was like, because we haven't heard a lot of new stuff, so to hear anything new was like, wow.
Yes, and his sister began to suspect him. Again, there's the weakness of his alibi. All put together is very incriminating. but he's able to, there's no blood ever found, at least as we know it, on his car, in his apartment. There's no incriminating information on his computer that we know about.
That's
there are
the
a
thing.
lot of
So, because the
reasons-
prosecution is going to say he ordered
How
the
do you
knife,
order
the
that
K-bar
Amazon?
knife and the sheath
Yeah.
2 months earlier on Amazon, whatever the date
At
was.
the
It wasn't that
library?
long in advance. He ordered a workman's suit, which is also in the news. He got like a full body worker
Right.
suit. And neither the murder weapon nor that suit have ever been found. Not in Bryan's apartment, not at the scene, nowhere.
They're in that Snake
But
River.
he took a circuitous route from the murder scene back to the University of Idaho. It's this long, tree-covered highway. Easily
Right.
could have pulled over and disposed of this stuff someplace in the woods where we could never find. And it, by the way, where is the worker suit? If he didn't do anything nefarious in it, why didn't we find it when he searched his apartment? Where's the knife? Why didn't we find that when we searched his apartment? And that's the reason that
Any
there
blood
wasn't
in his
blood
car,
evidence
we
all over
found-
him.
Right. Yeah, there's no blood in his car. There were no scratches on him. You could make a very convincing case, and the defense will make it in great detail to the jury, that they have the wrong man. I think they have the right person, but why? Ultimately, I think the defense is going to say, why would he have done this? Why would he have done this?
And
I
the
think
prosecution is
jury's
going to say
left-
his DNA was found at the murder scene on the knife sheath, not on a clock radio, not on a shoe, on the button of the knife sheath. And then the defense is going to say touch DNA, whereas you point out in your airmail articles, the amount of touch DNA they got is the tiniest molecule, like not even a fleck of dust. And by the way, anyone could have touched that knife sheath in the store from which it came.
Exactly.
Anybody.
But not if it came
I
from
mean, they'll
Amazon.
just raise doubts.
Not if it came from Amazon, unless that was shipped to someone's house. They opened it, they messed with it, they shipped it back to Amazon as a return.
And will it be convincing? And again, especially when there has a fire.
Hold on. I wonder if Amazon, they're smart. They should have a way to where they could almost have it to where they can see when it was ordered and have video footage of the people boxing it up, people taking it, putting it on the truck. I don't know if they have the capabilities, but I know that their trucks have cameras coming off of the truck. Do you have to sign for a K-bar? I don't know. Maybe you do. Maybe you have to be there to sign for that. Probably not, but maybe you do. What did we get here the other day? Vincent got something. He had to sign for it. Oh, yeah. Okay. That makes sense. He had to sign for that.
Firing
That was
squad.
electronics, but-
There are enough doubts that you don't want to send a man to the firing squad, to face a firing squad.
Well, and then you've got
That's-
him. That's why I think it's interesting that he's, I don't know, working on his look. I imagine Ann Taylor is going to have him shave that facial hair growing all over his neck, in addition to his face prior to trial, and make him clean shaven again. But he'll be sitting there, presumably clean shaven. I mean, it's hard to say he's an attractive man given what we believe he did, but objectively speaking, he's not a terrible looking man. And he'll have his nice suit on. I'm sure he'll be, with the arm around him from Ann Taylor and his family right behind him, which they
His family ain't going to be there.
seem like nice people, trying to project, I'm an all-American boy. I was getting my PhD. I was preparing for a life of fighting crime, not committing crime, not murdering 4 people within 9 to 12 minutes, whatever it was, for no reason.
Right. And until this event, until his arrest, he was in many ways a success story. Here's a guy who overcomes all sorts of things. He's a heroin addict, and yet he beats it. He's 125 pounds overweight. He loses the weight. He turns his body into a fortress. He's going to a poor junior college. He gets out of the junior college and goes to a good college, DeSalle, and then gets into a great program in criminology at Washington State University. He does all this. He has one success after another. He's trying to reinvent himself. And yet, I would suggest that ultimately, there's something in him that he begins to realize that he just can't fit into this world of success, this world of normal people, this world of conversations. I go back to a story I write about in my book where he first gets out to Moscow, Idaho, and he goes to a pool party and he sees some pretty young women and he gets their phone numbers, and yet he just leaves the party. He never contacts them, but the women receive hang-up calls. He just felt himself as an outsider.
Well, and also you're reporting about, because the jury will likely hear this. This will come in. Not all of what we're discussing is going to come into evidence, but the jury will more than likely hear the story about how things were on a downward spiral at the University of Washington for him. He wasn't just this brilliant PhD student, TA for the criminology department. That was spiraling down the drain at the same time he was about to allegedly murder these 4 people.
Yes, but what he's going to say, or the defense will say, is just what he told his father on this trip that they take across America. He begins to tell his father about some of the problems he's having at the university and that they're out to get him. But he says, I will come back there, there'll be a hearing, and I'll be able to make my case, and I'll be reinstated, and I'll be able to keep on teaching.
You know how much my family and I love our dogs, right? Yes, even my Strudwick, who...
Look at her giving us a commercial. What was that? I was writing to Lenora. I can't remember if they had, if it was Kohberger or not, if they were married. I was just wondering if they had a GoFundMe. I was just digging. I was digging in because the Kohberger family, they're not wealthy by any means. That they said that they had filed bankruptcy twice, but they can afford to go out and get him for a Christmas vacation. But they haven't been out to support him on any part of the trial at all. I don't know. To me, that says a lot. If that was my mom and dad, I'd be like, you better get out here. You know what I mean? I would be begging them. I'd be like, you better come out here. I didn't do this or whatever, I can't even think of their first names right now. Heather? I don't know why I can't think of their names. I'll have to look it up. I can look it up. That's what I'll do. I'll look it up. See if we can look it up. See if it'll have their names on there. Delta Rescue. Okay, now she's in a different shirt.
Rely on credit card rewards to visit their...
It's because this is a different commercial. She has a lot of...
Enough.com.
She changes her outfit an awful lot in this show. I think it has 5 times.
I don't think Bryan Kohberger is going to take the stand. And so his side of that story is going to be limited to whatever he wrote in emails in defense of himself to his professors.
Melissa and
but I mean, you
Amanda.
lay it out how these professors had enough of Bryan Kohberger and they had actually terminated him from the PhD.
So they're not married, or they kept their last name, but Melissa and Amanda Kohberger. Okay. That's what their names are. I forgot. I was like, wow. It's been a while since we talked about this
/TA program right before the murders.
Well, he gets the letter saying that he's been terminated. It's sent to his apartment in Washington State University. At this point, he's already on the road with his father, so he never actually gets the actual physical letter. But maybe he got an email because he does discuss it with his father on this road trip across America, and he's confident he can beat it. But
before the murders, Howard, he was... So maybe he didn't get the termination prior to the murders, but he knew at the time of the murders, his neck was on the chopping block at the university for his bad behavior.
He was called into 3 separate meetings with deans and his advisors. And at one point they tell him, okay, you're doing better. And then a week later, he gets into a fight with his professor. He had to be the smartest person in the room. He had to have the last word. And the professor was a former lawyer who had a criminal lawyer in Washington State, and he just felt there was, I think, I haven't talked to him, he wouldn't talk to me, he felt there was something off about Kohberger's character and personality. And this was reinforced by women in the class. They said he treated them in a misogynistic way, and one of them complained that he followed her to his car, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back with the administration of Washington State University.
If I were the prosecutor, I'd stand up there. And I mean, I don't know how it works in Idaho, but in New York, the prosecutor gets 2 bites at the apple. You do the first closing, then the defense stands up and does their closing, and then you get a rebuttal at the end where you get the last word because you have the burden of proof. And I would say it's true. Bryan Kohberger did overcome obesity, and he did overcome his heroin addiction. You know what he did not overcome? The severe night terrors and torture, self-torture that's been going through his brain since the time he was 16, where he said he feels like a piece of dead meat, where he said, when I hug my father, I feel nothing. This is a sociopath who is more than capable of these crimes, whose antisocial behaviors got to the point where they could no longer be ignored or not noticed by the students that were in the class for which he was a TA, by those above him who had been rooting for him, with whom he knew he had to curry good favor, but couldn't maintain the ruse any longer. And ultimately, this came to a boil inside of him because...
Do you think that's why he changed schools so many times? Like 3 different times? He went to 3 different schools?
Of the vibrance of these girls, the beauty of these girls, the vitality of this foursome living a life he could never live. Who knows whether he met one of them in the vegan restaurant? Who knows whether he met them online or just stalked the Instagram page? We'll find out whether he did for sure in court. But he was working out a lifetime of angst, anguish, and self-torture as he took that K-bar knife and plunged it into Maddie Meygn and her friends that night.
You make a very convincing case. Also, I was just thinking as you were talking about who the confidential witness could be. It could be one of his fellow students in his class. One of the women who he might have walked to the car and felt uncomfortable around him. Things might have happened at Washington State where there have been rumors, but nothing is as that I felt comfortable about printing. Maybe these people will testify to that.
Was that the one whose apartment he installed a security system, and then she believed he did that just so he could look at her?
That's one theory, again, that hasn't been substantiated. That appeared on Dateline. The Dateline reporters are damn good, but I haven't been able to substantiate that. So maybe they have something I didn't get. It wouldn't be the first time. But I think something like that could come out at the trial, and those could be the witnesses who are willing to talk.
Well, look, I, for one, am just glad it's finally, we think, coming to trial. It's been too long, and I'm sure the families are just absolutely frustrated that, you know, with every passing day, witnesses' memories fade, even the jurors' memories of the awfulness of this fade, though that will be brought full front and center to them through pictures. But I'm sure they want justice. You know, they want an end to this, or at least an end to this phase.
Yes, I mean, and they also want, some of the families make it clear they want vengeance, and who can blame them in many ways? You know, one father said, I send my daughter off to college and she comes home to me in a box. How can you deny him his venting for vengeance? I certainly can't.
No, that's another piece of this process. It's already inconvenient. They got to travel now to Boise, allegedly to protect his rights, because the defense did some survey of the locals in Moscow, Idaho, that allegedly suggested they all knew about the case and they allegedly had biases already. I mean, all of that could have been cleansed on jury selection and with the jury instruction. I don't think you're going to find people in Boise who've never heard of the case either.
Well, even it came up in the courtroom when they're giving the statistics. 97% of the people in Moscow heard about the case. In Boise, what was it? 93%.
Oh,
so 4% difference. What they'll say is that there'll be a larger jury pool.
300,000 or something?
In Moscow, you have a jury pool of approximately 20,000 people. In Boise, is about 300,000. So you have more to check to find someone. I wouldn't have moved the trial, but I see how the judge had to do it. You want to do everything that will make this trial stand up because you know it's going to be appealed if he's convicted. So you want to give them as less reasons as possible for having a successful appeal. And that's why you would want all the Brady information to be presented too.
Yeah, 100%. If there's any good news in this for people like you and me, it's that Judge and kicking it up to Boise said, at least they're going to have a bigger courtroom, which can handle the amount of interest that there will be in this case, which, I mean, honestly, as members of the media, that is good. There will be cameras inside of this courtroom. It'll be controlled. It'll be one at the back of the courtroom, we're told. But in any event, having access to the actual trial on camera is such a gift. It's definitely going to drive interest in this case. And, in August, post the presidential election, I think there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on this.
Right. And the jury selection will start July 30th. And they expect it. This is the other thing. When he talks about the trial date, he's giving just 8 days for jury selection. I don't know if you can select a jury that quickly, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I like the deadlines. I like the idea of the deadlines. And just I've never heard a judge say it starts on August 11th and it ends on November 7th. Well, I'm not sure that's how
the penalty phase. Yes.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yes.
Well, Howard Blum, what a pleasure as always. Thank you.
And just remember when Judge said they won't change the date of the trial. They won't change the date. They won't change the date. And I said, he has no jurisdiction over that. He has no idea what they have on the books right now. And he didn't. And they changed the date. I hope they don't change it again. I'd be so upset if they change this date again. I can't do another trial date. I'm not going, no, Envision. I don't think so anyway. I mean, shoot, you never know though. You never know. It's a while from now. That is my time to go on vacation. That is my vacation time. We usually go to California. Idaho's a lot further than I thought. I thought that it was a little bit closer. Vincent's from southern tip or southern area, you know what I mean, of California. He's from LA, so it's more south. And of course, Moscow, Idaho is completely a couple states over and all the way up to the tippity top. So you can go to California if you can. Yeah, I probably will. But I wouldn't mind going there for opening statements or something. I would love to see the trial. Now that's one trial I would be I'd be in there with my little notepad, taking my little notes. But that would be fun to go see, just to see him in the flesh. Nope. So it's not another new one. It's just one. If you hadn't already seen it yet, I wanted to put it out for you guys. Maddie Mogyn's mom did an interview. I thought it was wonderful. We haven't, as far as I know, we haven't heard from her yet. And not we've heard from the other parents anyway. And just to hear from her and just to get what she thinks about what's going on. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I had tears in my eyes. Apple River. Oh yeah. Yeah. That was last summer, wasn't it? Or summer before, where you're talking about when they were in the creek, right? It was, we didn't cover it, but yeah. I'm okay with the creator that comes and says, do we know anybody that's going for sure? Hey, Ministry of Defense. You can't be hollering him. I'll holler. I would too. I'd be like JLR. Bryan. What would he say? I don't even know what he would say. How's prison? Are you excited to go back to prison? Have you ever heard of this case is crazy. Harsh is not going. Envision. No way. Is he flying across the pond? Really? If he goes, I'm going. If he's over there, then I gotta go. I gotta combat. He ain't going. I mean, Who's paying for that trip? That's insanity. I mean, he has been talking about it though every day for 2 years, right? Over 2 years. He would have to go, right? He would have it's like he has to be there. I'm like, I can't let him one up me. He's from across the pond. I mean, I'm in the same country at least. He raised money for it. Oh, well, then he better go. Oh, he did a GoFundMe. How much did he raise? Just curious. I mean, I'm just curious. You would think that'd be like a pretty penny to come over to the United States. But if anybody should, I mean, he does spit a lot of conspiracy. I don't know. I haven't listened to him in over a year. It's been over a year. It's been way before Sebastian's case. So yeah, I can't handle him as much. I used to watch him every day too. Every morning, 6:00 in the morning. It was like clockwork. And then Idaho happened. And I just couldn't get down with it. I wonder how much he ended up getting for letting the GoFundMe. I'm just curious. Because you know what I mean? Like, AZ. Yeah. No, that's me too. Hey, honey, Edler. Yeah, I haven't been. Vincent actually asked me that yesterday or today. He asked me if I still watched him. And I said, or he said, have you watched him? I said, I haven't watched him forever. Me too. I lost interest. When he first maybe people are act differently when they are like they get bigger. I don't know, but it just yeah, we do need someone with some common sense over there. Oh man. Don't make me start researching. Don't make me start researching hotels and stuff. Who's got the hotel or who's got the miles on the card? I don't want anyone to pay for anything, but who has the miles? I had a mod that used to say that. She'd be like, I'll get you there. I'll just use my miles on my card. Because she would have like, from traveling and stuff. I think that'd be fun. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely read it. True crime. Thank you. I agree with that. Oh, wow, PKC. I didn't even see. I stopped watching it way before that, I think. Because I don't remember him doing that. But I mean, I know that I could see it, I don't know. He would always be like, I'm going to do a live. I'm going to do a live. And then he would never do the live. Just like, I don't know. Stuff like that just gets me like where I'm like, you done messed up too many times. Oh, this case is a case. This case is wild. Like when this case first happened, we had videos to work with. We had like food truck video for like 7 hours. We didn't watch the 7 hours worth of it because we just ain't that channel. I'm sorry. But we watched what we needed to watch. Because like literally it was just 7 hours of them taking orders and people were still watching it. People are still watching it actually now. Oh, have a good night, SSD. I was supposed to go tomorrow and I had an appointment and I was like, oh, I forgot. So I had to cancel it. It wasn't important. So frequent flyer. Yeah. I wonder if Vincent has any miles. I'm going to ask him. We fly Delta every time we go there. He should have some. Oh my man. It's expensive to fly. Ministry of Defense. I know, right? They just do over here. They just come over here and do our cases. He's been doing Idaho for a long time. Like, what do you talk about after this long? You just regurgitate stuff? Like, I don't know. Oh my Lord have mercy. He's flying from like the UK or something. Isn't he from like the UK? I forget exactly where he's from, but is his wife coming too? And did his subscribers pay for her to come? Like, how's that working out? Because, like, I wouldn't want to fly across the world without my significant other. But then they have kids. So then, no, she'd have to stay with the kids. How's this going to work? Hey, Tennessee gal. Is he really from Australia? I swear I thought he was from the UK. Like, yeah, it's going to have to be, you would think it'd be expensive. And then, like, he has kids. I don't know their ages. I remember they were like, teenagers or something when I would watch them. So then they wouldn't stay at home alone. I mean, they just wouldn't. That would be right when they're getting ready to go back to school. Well, I mean, in the States anyway. That'd be like such a bad time to like leave because you have like all this stuff to do for schooling and stuff. Like, I don't know. Yeah, you make a bunch. But I think I would I think I'd run out of shit to make up, AC. I think I would. Oh, Ladybug's not here, actually, Tennessee gal, but I'll tell everyone now that we're going towards the end of the live. So she's okay. Ladybug's okay. But she had to go to the hospital for a couple of days to get some testing done. She was having some trouble breathing. Like, I think something when she was like swallowing and she was having trouble breathing. And so she's at the hospital for a couple of days. They're going to keep her for a couple of days, but she said, don't worry about her. She said she loves us. That's what she said. I forgot to say that earlier. She loves you guys. And she'll be back, on before we know it. I think she said even tomorrow or something. I said, take some time off, like as much as you need, Ladybug. We'll be fine. We didn't have mods there for the longest times. It seemed like we were okay. And plus we got Mary Beth. We got all of you guys. You guys are like great at welcoming each other in. Like if you see someone come in and they say hi, I know 10 out of 10, I'm going to say it, 10 out of 10 times someone's going to say hi to them. Because if one person sees it and they don't say hi, the next person will say, oh, they must not have saw it, and they'll say hi. Like, I just feel like here people don't want to like, I don't know. We make people feel important, and you should. Yeah, I know. I felt so bad when she texted me that. Like she emailed it to me today. Like she emailed me and I was like, oh my gosh, Ladybugs doesn't want to mod for me anymore. She hates me. What did I do? Because she never emails me really. Like she just emailed me the other day, but it's very few and far between, like, so when you guys email me, I like the mods, especially, like, I'm like, oh, is something wrong? Is, what is it? What's going on? Because, some of you guys in chat, I feel like I talk to you guys more than the mods. When you pull up Amazon, I can see everything I've ordered. Also shows things I have looked at. Yep, Patricia, you're right. Yeah. I have a shopping cart full of like my Amazon. It's bad. Vincent was like, how much is in there? Like, and I'm like, I'm not buying it all. I'm just saving it for later. I have my save for later is like a bad. Because like you get on Amazon, you look at things like, and you're like, oh, I love that. I would love that. And you put it in your cart. And then your cart ends up like you want to shop, you want to like check out, but half that stuff you don't want to buy yet, right? Because you're just like still thinking you're never going to get it. But then you put it in your save for later, and then it just isn't. That's saver for never. Southernish, you do need a channel. You would be that. I would listen to you. I like hearing you when you go on panels. You need to come up on my panel sometime. Yep, I have carts and lists too. We had carts and lists today, actually. We had to go to the store, like just get like, random stuff that we needed. I had like all these Post-its. Vincent's like, you got enough Post-its? I'm like, I sure do. Oh, thank you, Southernish. I appreciate it. Well, I don't think I really have that much more for you guys for tonight. Amazon is so addicting, Captain. It's like you get a present every day. And y'all, some of y'all be peeking. I thought we were waiting for the people that are doing the Elfster. I thought we were all waiting until we got our gifts to open them together. And I guess that passed over like a lot of people, because a lot of people are like, I opened mine. I didn't know. It's totally fine. I still have mine though. I want Margot to know that I didn't open it if she listens on a replay, because I don't want her to think Tanya got my gift and she didn't even like say like, how much she liked it or anything, and I haven't opened it yet because I was waiting until the 31st. Well, I'm glad that you were in chat. I'm glad that you came into chat tonight. Oh, we're pretty kind over here for the most part. Well, I'm glad that you were chatty tonight. I'm like that too. When I go into some chats, I don't say nothing. I'll just peek in, listen and see what's going on. And, but yeah, oh, wow. I just saw this picture. Look at this. Look at that. Okay, look at this before I get off here. This is California. I asked Vincent, I'm like, how far is your mother from here? Because I know she lives outside of LA. And he said it would have to go through LA, downtown LA to get to her. I said, okay. He said where she lives, definitely could probably see the smoke and all that. Because you can see the downtown horizon view, like the view of LA from his mom's. Because they live the mountains, they're mountains, they're not hills there. You can see a lot more. That's so sad. Look at that. There was one, it was like this, and it was a helicopter ride. Somebody was on an airplane and they saw it. Well, these people down here got extremely lucky, but their house is going to smell like smoke. But like their house is there. Wow. That's going to be so much cleanup. Oh, that's just the winds. Look at that. Isn't that insanity? That's insanity to me. Look at that flag. That's so sad. Oh my gosh, did you guys hear about the dog? Did you guys hear about the dog? I don't think they're out all completely. Let me go to Twitter. You guys got to see this. This will make your whole dang night. But I'm kind of mad at the owner. You know what I mean? Because you don't leave animals. Even if it's, I don't care if I had to put these dogs in a book bag, even though they're big, like harness them somehow and be running. But that's what we'd be doing. That's what we'd be doing. My cat, especially, I just would die in a fire before that cat would go anywhere. That cat almost died in a fire, actually. Funny story. He almost did die in a fire. But I don't know. This guy, though, he, like ABC or NBC, one of the news stations, I got to find it now. Actually, it might be right over here. Right here. His dog's name's Oreo. And this is NBC News. He thanks them. Oh my gosh. I don't know if y'all have seen this yet, but you got to watch this. Okay. Let me see. Oh, let me make it big again. There we go. So this guy, I'm going to set the stage for you. He's lost everything, right? His property, it's gone. It's leveled out. It's gone. He don't have a property anymore. For 5 days, he's been like trying to get back in to this area because one of his dogs was left behind. I think he has one dog with him, and then one dog was left behind. He goes there and he convinces this news crew to like take him back there or something. And he is reunited with his dog after 5 days of this dog being in fire. Straight, you saw that. You saw that fire, right? That's where the dog was in the heat of all that, like the heart of the heat of the fire. Watch this. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Look at this.
It's Tika. Hi, Boo. How's the fire? Oh, honey. Oh, honey.
It's hitting him. Look. Look at all that. You're scaring me.
Oh, thank you, Jesus. Oh, thank you, God. NBC. Where's NBC?
NBC.
Where are you, Liz? Thank you. Oh, honey, thank you. Oh, God almighty. Oh, Jane. Oh, Jane.
Like, look.
Tika.
Like, oh my gosh, that gives me tears looking at the dog. The dog was just sitting up there waiting on him. And you see him and he doesn't I don't think it hits him until he has the dog in his hands. And that's really how it is after a fire. Like, I remember, and my fire was nothing like this. We lost everything, but this is devastation. I mean, I couldn't imagine this. We lost everything, but we had each other. You know what I mean? And I didn't get upset. I didn't cry or anything. Like I pulled up. I didn't even know the house burned down. I pulled up and there was no house. I said, wait a second. Am I in the wrong parking lot? Like I really thought for real, because my mom had just moved. And I'm like, surely, right? Well, I didn't cry until I talked to my mom. She said the animals are okay and I'm okay. And I was still not crying until I saw her. And when I saw my mom and I saw that she was okay, I don't know why. Then I just bawled. I cried. I was just like, my mama. But isn't that cute? He found his doggy and all of that destruction. I'm going to start telling my stories on my other channel, I think, because I do have some good ones. And we always find the silver lining when crap happened with me and my mom. Like we always found the silver lining behind, everything. Like we just did. But she didn't catch the place on fire. It was the neighbor. It was the neighbor that did too. Because I thought it was her. I was like, oh my God, my mom caught the place on fire. Because she had just started taking her sleeping medicine again that night. And I was like, oh my God. And she was still smoking cigarettes at the time. So I thought she fell asleep with a cigarette in her hand because I had left. It was the first time I'd left the house in forever and a day. And I was like, oh my God, she burnt the place down. I was like, she hated this place. She burned it down. And we were laughing about it. We go to McDonald's and we're with the Red Cross. And the song, I'm not even kidding you, We Didn't Start the Fire. That song came on the radio at a McDonald's. And I was like, Mom, I was like, listen to this. I was like, we didn't start the fire. And my mom was like, because I didn't realize the guy that started the fire, John, was he was sitting behind me. We were just laughing like idiots because that's all you could do, Oh my gosh, no way, Tennessee gal. I am so sorry. That's the worst thing you could lose. I am so sorry. I was blessed just to lose what we lost. We had each other. It was always something weird. Something with my aunt, my mom's sister. She would try to separate us all the time. She'd get us settled in different spots. And then something would happen where we'd be back together. It just was, we were meant to be together. You know what I mean? We were just meant to be together that time. So I'm really sorry, Tennessee gal. That must be extremely hard. And I can't imagine. A friend I know, I have a girlfriend that was she wasn't my friend at the time. She was my friend in high school. And I would consider her somebody that I wouldn't consider for her friend now, but it's a pleasure to know her now. Do you know what I mean? But she was very much on drugs. Her and her boyfriend both. They were young and early 20s, and their house caught fire, and they couldn't get their little girl out. And yeah, I remember hearing about that, and I felt so bad for her. She got sober that fast. Do you know what I mean? There was nothing there, you know what I mean? She She couldn't believe what she had, she didn't mean to do it. She couldn't get to her. Like, I mean, there was so much fire. But if, like, you know what I mean? If this wouldn't have happened, then that wouldn't have happened, and that wouldn't have happened. And it was just, it was really sad. I felt bad for her, but she's been sober 15 years now or longer. Really? Pineapple man. Pine needle? Pineapple. Pine needle. Yeah, I'm sorry for your loss. Appointed girl. Heidi and Jeremiah. Those are pretty names. Yeah, Southernish. I said that last night, actually. You never know, like, what anyone, like, she said, Southernish said, you never know the pain people have gone through. And I said something about, like, you don't ever know what someone's going through in life, You just never know. So just be kind. And I'm going to take that on my own. Like, I'm going to take my own words. Because, I've said things that I shouldn't have said before. But that's, you never know. Oh gosh, honey. That probably burnt so bad, but you wanted to go. But then it's like, that's so, I don't even know how you could even withstand that. My mom had to rush outside with me in the middle of the night. My dad was at work. Oh, I woke up to a fire and cried. Woke my mom. Oh, there's a lot of people that have been through fires in this chat. Well, make sure you guys are all subscribed over to Unfiltered with Tanya, because I think I was going to just like do whatever I wanted over there, which I am, but it's going to have a little structured. I'm going to do more of like, I think like life vlog kind of stuff, where it's going to have like funny stuff, and then it'll have more serious topics, more of like the traumas and stuff like that. And it'll have a little bit of like everything like that. Replay the dog video. Okay. Let's replay this before we get off of here for the night. Isn't this cute? Look at him looking. Like, I can't get over it.
It's Tika Tika. It's Tika Tika. It's Tika Tika.
I think he doesn't realize it until he gets it in his hand, because he's still acting cool here.
Hi, Boo. How's the fire?
How's the fire?
Honey. Oh, honey. Oh, my God. You're alive.
You're alive.
You can take him back.
Oh, thank you, Jesus. Oh, thank you, God. NBC. Where's NBC? Where are you, Liz? Thank you. Oh, honey, thank you. Oh, God almighty. Oh, Jane. Oh, Jane. It's Tika Tika.
Does he have his paint still on or anything?
It's Tika Tika. It's Tika Tika. Hi, Boo Boo.
No, he doesn't. Oh, he didn't have his little chain on anymore. I couldn't imagine. That guy, maybe he just didn't have the other hand to hold. That's just so sad. I couldn't leave my dog behind. I don't know what I would do. Burn up in a fire. Like, well, I have like safety plans in my head, and I need to like really like get the zones. You know what I mean? I when I was a little girl, I even had like this pictured in my head. If like I had like a doggy evacuation plan, like there was ever a fire in our home, my parents didn't think of that. I did. But here we have a balcony, and I would go out the balcony, and those stairs that you can buy, they hook onto the side of your balcony, and then you can go down them. I would do that, and I would just hold them dogs on the back of me. But I'd have to have like a harness for them. Oh, yeah, probably. I'm surprised the dog didn't run away myself. That dog said, my owner said he was coming back here today, and he didn't come back. No, I don't know. He's like, he stayed though, you know. I wonder if my dogs would stay. Oh my gosh, you said Sam right now. One of them is like hanging over the bed. Oh, it's really funny. Let me see if I can get a picture. Okay, I'll show you this. This will end the live. This will be a good picture to show you guys. Look at the gray one is the funniest because she's so big. She's leaning over. Her paws look dirty. She needs a bath. Her needs a bath. My dogs are funny. Very funny. But thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. You guys being with me tonight. I really do. Prayers for everybody out there that needs them, you know. Man, I'm going to go give these doggies some love, and it makes me want to just go give them some love. But thank you guys for being here tonight. I'll be back on tomorrow evening, maybe tomorrow during the day. You never know with me. But I think we might do a day live tomorrow. But if I don't, I will see you tomorrow night at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, please do. If you'd like to hit the like button, I'd love for you to do that. And I'll see you guys all on the next live. Bye, guys.